What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Tasty Tuesday on Tasty Loot Gaming, the show where we talk about gaming news. My name's Seth, and quick reminders that we are running out of time. We have like about a week left, so make sure to download and play Detroit Become Human and Horizon Chase Turbo. Got that correct this time. There's no zero in that fucking name title. Make sure to download those, play those, come back in about a week for Plus Club. We'll be talking about our opinions on those games and grading those games. We want to know your opinions and grades on those games, and our game randomly picked for game of the month this month was Final Fantasy X. So play that, or if you played in the past, or if you feel like playing it now, play that. And then at the end of the month for game of the month, we will be talking about our experience with that throughout this month. And, you know, just to put it out there, I have not really played this game a whole lot throughout the long history of it existing. So I will be talking about my first impressions of this game pretty much outside of, like, you know, things that have been spoiled to me over the years and, you know, stuff I've seen in Blitzball and shit like that. So it'll be an interesting conversation for sure. We have Discord linked down below. You can talk to us anytime, all time. And we're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you'd prefer to listen to us. I'm just waking up. I'm actually filming Tasty Tuesday morning, so bear with me. But we're gonna get through this. Yeah, so Tasty Tuesday, we got 3 bits of news to talk about. One is kind of continuation of Tastecast, so if you missed that yesterday, go check that out. I think we had a really good conversation, kind of revealed some behind the scenes stuff that's going to be happening with the channel when it comes to a new show coming out. I also have another show idea that I'm not ready to talk about yet, but I might just do it eventually and drop it on you. I don't know. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, so we have one that's kind of continuation of yesterday, and I will emphasize when we get into that how much I do not know about what I'm talking about, but I will be reading an article from people that I hope are people who know what they're talking about. First bit of news, though, is something I do know a little bit about, which is Cyberpunk 2077 will have a hardcore mode with no UI in it, among a couple other features, but also that Lady Gaga apparently will not be making an appearance in Cyberpunk 2077. There was this weird rumor for a while that there was all these like pop stars who were going to be working on music for the game and be in the game, and I don't know if they're really substantiated by anything, but that's been confirmed via this interview that she's pretty cyberpunk, so she could fit in, but yeah, no Lady Gaga is what they said about that. But aside from that, more interesting things is very much like the Witcher series. Cyberpunk 2077 will have multiple difficulties in it, one including a hardcore mode that will take your UI away. In a quote, the most fun one, I think, will be the hardcore setting when asked about difficulties, where we turn off the UI, and that will be a real challenge for a lot of players. Cyberpunk 2077 UI coordinator Alvin Liu told WCCF Tech. Also, at the same time, if you want to play it more casually for the story and maybe you're not experienced with shooters, which is a real big concern for us, we want to tell a story and maybe you're a big fan of The Witcher and you're not comfortable playing a shooter, we have settings available for that. So obviously, in essence, saying that there will be difficulties for everybody, hardcore for people who want something more challenging, and more relaxed difficulties for people who might not be too into the shooter genre, or people who are just playing for the story/experience. Another quote, he said, "We even have weapons for that. If you recall from the last year's demo, we had a weapon called the Smart Gun, which helps you aim. The bolts are much slower and usually a bit weaker, but if aiming isn't your forte, you can always pick up the Smart Gun. Ideally, there will be an option to disable the UI independent of difficulty. Playing without a visible interface can make for a much more immersive experience, but I have zero interest in getting owned by every 2-bit chump with a heater while Johnny Mnemonics." This is the article and the way they wrote it, so they're trying to be funny. Yeah, so kind of a little bit of news, but news altogether. So we got the different difficulties and ways for people to play if they're not comfortable with the shooter experience. My opinion on this is the difficulty thing is kind of a no-brainer, makes complete sense. But the thing that's interesting about Cyberpunk 2077 is even though it is a first-person shooter, it's an RPG as well, and it's been very heavily emphasized since them revealing this game that they are going RPG first and foremost, which I think is really important, especially with their pedigree with the Witcher, but also the fan base that they have amassed. And now, of course, it's really important for them to branch out and try new things, and they are with this 100%. But also, I think it is very smart of them to stick to their roots and go with what they're strong with, and maintain that RPG feel, but also accommodate people who might be coming from things they've done in the past over to what is essentially a RPG shooter, and make sure that they have a place to have fun. So having those differences in difficulty, making it a little like simpler or maybe a little more straightforward, streamlined, less emphasis on challenge makes complete sense when it comes to that aspect of the difficulty. Also, I think it's funny they talk about the smart gun being a gun they could use, which I think is is an option, 100%. But at the same time, it's also just a gun in the game that you can use. I'll definitely be trying it out because I love sci-fi, and the more sci-fi, the better. The idea of a gun that just auto aims is really fun and interesting. But of course, it's weaker, so I'll be one of these other things. And there's so many different builds I'm going to want to do in that game regardless. But it is cool that there's stuff that they're recommending to people and different ways to go about playing the game for people, specifically RPG players, people who are coming over to this game and they're not really looking for a first person shooter, but more so a deeper RPG. You're gonna get the experience, and I have a pretty big pedigree and past with first person shooters, so I'm down for both, but not everybody is, so I think it's cool. As for the hardcore mode with the UI and then you being able to turn the UI off as well, I also think it's very cool, specifically just because people want that harder challenge, especially in a game like this. Maybe you want to play the real fucking experience, have those bragging rights, but also maybe you want to just be more immersed in the game. You don't want to see a HUD. You just want to live in this living, breathing world. It makes complete sense to have that. I'm glad they have the option to do it regardless of the difficulty, as it's said. I won't be starting out in this mode, but I will definitely dabble in it after I've beaten the game on some kind of standard difficulty, as I typically do with most games. I'll normally play on like normal, just to get whatever the game recommends is the way they think you should play it. That's typically how I play it, and then I'll go on to a harder difficulty a lot of the times. Unless it's a Tom Clancy game, I have a habit of just hopping into what they normally call realistic as a difficulty, just because I like in a tactical game to really have those bullet impacts matter, and wanting to take cover out of necessity, not just because, oh man, I'm taking damage. So that's a whole different thing. And as for the Lady Gaga thing, I don't care about that at all. Like at fucking all. I don't give a shit. So when I heard about it before, I was like, okay, cool. And then now they're like, no, Lady Gaga. Okay, cool. So moving on from that. Let me know in the comments, though, what do you think about these difficulties that they're talking about, ways of playing in Cyberpunk 2077? Which one do you think you would be falling in line with? Do you like the more challenging aspect? Do you like turning that HUD off, that UI, to get a more immersive experience? Do you like playing a more casual setting? You're there for the story. You don't really care about if you can beat the boss or whatever. You just want to go through and enjoy the game. What do you think about Lady Gaga? Is that even a thing for you? The smart guns sound cool for you? Or are you going to be looking for more eased ways of playing? Are you going to go like with a melee build? That one sounds really fucking cool to me. Are you into the challenge? You want to play a hardcore FPS or whatever? Let me know everything you're thinking about in the comments below. Also, with that UI, do you want that immersion? Let me know. Pretty cool stuff. I can't wait for that fucking game. I got my collector's edition pre-ordered, and I keep forgetting that it's pre-order, but I'm not gonna once they fucking take the money out of my account. But it looks so cool. I can't wait to get my fucking hands on that, and I'll definitely be doing an unboxing of that when I get that. Second bit of news is not quite news, but an update towards something that I feel like a lot of people, a growing amount of people, are starting to want more and more and more. So, in the bigger picture, Remedy, the guys who made Alan Wake, the upcoming Control, the original Max Payne, and other stuff, reacquired the rights to Alan Wake from Microsoft. That was a collaborative effort between the two on the 360, and I believe it came out on PC as well. I'm pretty sure that's where I played it. And they got those rights back. So, in recent interviews with Sam Lake, who is, I believe, I think the writer of Alan Wake, but he's been working at Remedy since the beginning. I believe his face is what they used for Max Payne back in the day. He's been getting asked a lot about Alan Wake 2. That game has slowly amassed a following. I'm one of those people. I was a really big fan of Alan Wake. Yeah, I think people are wanting an Alan Wake 2 finally. I know about a year ago, they were saying that the likelihood of it was very low because they hadn't got the rights back from it, but they were also talking about how more and more people were playing this game way after the fact. And slowly there was becoming more and more people who were really into it. So their fan base was growing when it came to that game. So in an interview recently with IGN, he was asked essentially what he felt about them making an Alan Wake 2. What's the likelihood if they wanted to do it? And blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to go through this real fast. Go through the article leading into it real quick because I feel like I might have skipped something, and then I'll go into the quote and we'll talk about it from there. So pretty much IGN said what I just said, but to this day, Alan Wake remains one of Remedy Entertainment's most enduring franchises, even if it's really just one core game and notably wackier DLC adventure, which was fine. Though review scores were generally high, IGN gave it 8.5 and its eventual PC port a 9.0. Alan Wake didn't exactly fly off the shelves instead, and that's really important to note because that game came out, it suffered through development hell. It took forever to come out. When it finally came out, it fell off people's radars. It didn't get advertised well, so it definitely had to do like a slow burn to get noticed again, which was really unfortunate to watch because it was a very good game. Moving on. Didn't exactly fly off the shelves. Instead, the franchise found a longer, more modest lifespan through nearly a decade of sales events and dedicated cult following. But no sequel has ever been materialized. On this month's episode of Doesn't Matter, famed Remedy Games writer Sam Lake stated that he still wants to make a proper Alan Wake 2. In quotes, Sam Lake says, "I want to make it. It's a curious thing. At this point, so much time has passed, I feel that the bar is higher in some ways. It needs to be done right if it's ever done. Everything needs to click into place, which is really hard to make it happen. So many things for these big games to be greenlit need to be aligned, but I'm hoping that someday ... That's where the quote ends, which seems kind of dumb. But yeah, so in essence, he's saying that it is something they want to work on, something that he definitely wants to work on. They do own the rights to the brand, but if they're going to do it, they got to do it right. The bar's been heightened, and to get greenlit, they have to jump through some hoops. Now, the reason I want to talk about this is because last year when this was brought up, they essentially said it wasn't going to happen. The likelihood was very low. For reasons I said before, they didn't have the rights to the brand, so that would make it very difficult. But also just how long it's been since the last one came out, as opposed to fucking making a new one, which would be, even later than now, obviously, because they're working on Control, or Control's going to be coming out. So it is interesting to see that the wording has changed. So again, this is pretty much an update. For me, this is really exciting to hear because I loved Alan Wake. I think it's still completely underrated. Now, the people who have played it, me, anybody else, all loved it, it seems. I haven't talked to anybody who's played the game and disliked it. It's a really great story, great writing, great setting. It still looks great, in my opinion, and has some really cool mechanics. I think Remedy is a very inventive company. Anytime they create a third-person shooter, which you'd assume is just shoot shit, third person, there's always something about it narrative wise, story wise, that's really engaging and interesting, with great writing, in my opinion. But there's always some kind of mechanic to the game that makes it different than the other games. They always have something they're trying to change it up with, which I really like. So yeah, the idea of them starting to finally think about making Alan Wake 2 is promising to me, especially because Control is coming out. I can't wait to play that game. It looks fucking awesome. I love everything these guys do. But I'm wondering if they will start pre-production on Alan Wake 2 after this. I don't know if this is some kind of like signal that they are already maybe thinking about doing it or not. Maybe there's something else planned. But the idea of an Alan Wake 2 is awesome, and I would love to see that, especially now they do so much with it. But I agree with what he's saying. If you're going to do it, you got to nail it, because again, with that growing fan base of that game, there's going to be a higher expectation. Also, the writing and the pacing and the storytelling of that game was so good that you can't fuck that up. I mean, even the DLC, The American Nightmare, or whatever the fuck it's called, was fine, but overall, most people didn't love it. So you really got to nail it. But I hope they can figure that out, and I hope they can start working on it, and I hope it doesn't take them 10 years to make, because that's what fucked the original Alan Wake. Let me know in the comments, though, what do you think about the potential of an Alan Wake 2? Do you think it's going to happen? Do you think it's not going to happen? Do you want it to happen? Did you play the original Alan Wake? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Are you a fan of Remedy? Have you played their games? Did you like Quantum Break? That one's kind of fucking like, most people didn't play it. Some people played it, they didn't like it. Some people played it, they liked it. I'm kind of in the middle. I dug it, but like, I kind of felt like I was playing a game that was just like God mode the game. So there wasn't like a challenge to the game, but it was cool. And yeah, let me know everything you're thinking about when it comes to Alan Wake 2, Remedy, and the potential of Alan Wake 2 coming out, and whatever the fuck you think of. Are you excited for Control? Are you going to play Control? I'm definitely going to play that game. The game looks fucking awesome. Let me know in the comments below. Now, in Tastecast, which came out yesterday, I talked about real briefly that there was like a Hero 31 coming out for Overwatch. I said his name was Simba. It's Sigma. I was joking. And yeah, he has an origin story trailer. I'm sure any Overwatch fans have already seen this, but I'm going to be watching it, reacting to it. You guys can let me know in the comments all the stuff I'm missing, anything that I get wrong or I don't know about. You can fucking just lay it on me in the comments below, because I'm very interested. I've been thinking about hopping back into Overwatch a little bit lately, especially with that new role queue system. I don't know if it's going to be good or bad. We talked about it on Tastecast, but it sounds interesting. So with that, we're going to watch the official Sigma origin story trailer and get a feel for this new character. All right, 3, 2, 1, and go.
Gravity. Gravity is a harness. My entire career has been devoted to this idea, to this moment. Decades. If the unifying theories are correct, we will soon be able to harness the power of a black hole. Nothing will ever be the same. Why? This is wrong. The field is failing. Oh, what happened? Where am I? Why am I being imprisoned? Release me! What is that melody? Hold it together. Hold it together. Hold it together. Hold it together. Density, mass, momentum. It's too much to hold on to. I will bring you a new understanding of the violence. The universe is singing to me. What is that melody? Freedom. Imprisonment. It's all an illusion. Gravity is a harness. I have harnessed the harness. It's in you.
So I'm behind on Overwatch. Um, but it seems like we got a villain character, which is pretty cool. I feel like they don't get as much play. Possibly, I could be wrong, but I actually really dug that. In fact, if that was like a movie or some kind of origin story to a character in a movie, I'd be really into it. First off, I think the guy who did the voice acting for that character did a fucking great job. I was really surprised by that. Also, I love that whole origin story that we got through that. It had a really cool tone, really dark. I really dug it. I love the whole idea of a curious scientist kind of coming upon unearned knowledge and changing him forever. That's fucking awesome. The whole thing with gravity, the harnessing the harness. It's pretty cool. I actually really liked that a lot. Now, obviously, this didn't show any kind of gameplay of him, but very very cool, very like psychological horror esque, which I really really dig. Like I said, if they made a movie with that, I'd be into it. So pretty cool. I've been hearing some complaints, some pretty stupid complaints about this character on Twitter. But but overall, I think it's pretty neat. So yeah, let me know in the comments, what do you think about Sigma? Are you excited for him? What do you think about the origin story? Did you dig that? Did you not dig it? What do you think Sigma is gonna do as a hero or villain? Yeah, what kind of moves are you expecting? What kind of things are you speculating on when it comes to him, his story, his moves? Blah 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 blah. Let me know in the comments below. But that's going to do it for this episode of Tasty Tuesday on Tasty Loot Gaming. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check us out on Tumblr, Twitter, and Facebook at Tasty Loot Gaming. Check out my streams on Twitch and only Twitch at Tasty Senpai, all one word. Streaming will be coming back to YouTube soon, but Ubisoft took our streaming down for like 90 days after E3 because we covered their E3 conference. So that was really fucked up, Ubisoft. Hopefully they'll be coming back soon, because when I used to stream, I would stream on both platforms at once. So I'm only on Twitch, Tasty Senpai. We have a Discord link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all the time, and we're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you'd prefer to listen to us while you're driving to work, or you're at work, or doing things that you're not going to be eyeballing shit. Although definitely watch the show on YouTube if you can. I appreciate the views, the likes, and the comments. Of course, the comments. I love the comments. Yeah. As always, my name's Seth. Until the next episode, which will be something coming this week, of course. Have a good week, guys, and take it easy.